Emma H. asks, what non-pet animal would you most like to have as a pet? Well, to that I'd have to say the humble chimpanzee. There's something very frightening about a chimpanzee. If you look into the eyes of any of the apes, the bonobo or the chimp, they frighten you, they scare you. There's something wrong with them or something wrong with you. Flop NATO asks, so do you think Clavicular is going to be as big as Mr. Beast? Will he be the next Mr. Beast? If not, then who will be the Beast's successor? I don't know if there will be a Beast successor. I feel like, Mr. Beast has his time in the sun today, and when he's gone, perhaps nobody will succeed him, and YouTube just won't have a sort of singular great god. You know what? I'm getting tired of this little tuft of hair. I'm going to shave my head and be back in just a second. Bye. I try to do this sometimes. A lot of people think I'm bald. I'm balding. Especially like in the comments of my new video, the Nick Fuentes one, where there's a lot of like Nazis and stuff. There's a lot of people who are like, bald Jew, bad physiognomy, bald, disgusting Jew face, whatever. The truth is, this is my hairline. I said this a few times. It is what it is, man. I have a receded looking hairline, and I've had it just my whole life. Now that I'm 30, it's like, it's okay if I'm bald. You know what I mean? Like, dude, people are insane a little bit about men going bald. Because it's like, say that I am going bald. And to be clear, maybe I am, man. Maybe, the bell is tolling for me. Maybe so at this point. I don't know. But men know that, like, they're all destined basically to go bald, right? Like, men must realize that when they make fun of bald men, they're, like, laughing at the Grim Reaper. Anyway, I just stopped recording to get all of my juiciest spots. Tiyun asks, are you still sporting every day? And when will we see those beach pics? I do still work out most days, although recently my wrist got kind of fucked up. I think I have tendonitis, but I still do work out most days. I think that I'm only more buff in my own mind, basically. You really can't tell that much of a difference has occurred, but I can tell, or at least I think I can tell. I just feel a little bit stronger than I used to. There's a hardness inside of me, I feel, but I don't know. Who knows? Chris Mullins asks, my question for you today is, what is your relationship to the experience of wonder? Is wonder something you find yourself often experiencing in life? And is it a feeling that you actively nurture? And in addition to that, how is your capacity for such feelings affected by a world which can seem persistently dreadful? So I'm actually going to disappoint you here when I say I don't think have felt wonder in a really long time, man. Like, I don't think I'm out here feeling wonder basically ever. Like, I could conjure up some sort of pretend memories of feeling wonder for you, like, but in my mind, wonder would entail me being like like that. It would have to be like that for me to call it wonder. In my mind, maybe I'm being like a wonder gatekeeper, but I'm telling you straight up, like, in my head, I'm not experiencing wonder. And the fact that the world is persistently dreadful, I'm not even sure that's the problem. I just think that I'm not like built for it. Ari asks, Joel, do you use any kind of site or app to track what books you're reading? I have a notes app where I write down all the books I've read. That is an app, so yeah, I do, but I don't use Goodreads, and I don't use Letterboxd. That's just another app that I use, but whatever. I don't know. I could probably be persuaded to get both of these apps, but they don't seem better than just the Notes app to me for my own uses. Jake Andrews asks, how do you feel about the Academy Awards? Not the particular nominees, but the whole process. Do you think it would be better if there were no final winners and all nominees quote unquote win? That's right, I'm a no-good lefty asking for participation trophies. And then he has a section for his thoughts, and I'll read them, sure. I feel like the awards ruin what should be a celebration of art and turns it into a needless competition. It's all part of the sportification of everything in the US. I hate seeing people argue and bicker over things that are ultimately subjective. Like, which work is better or who acted better, instead of focusing on the hard work that goes into making these films. And the works/people who don't win are just like discarded or used as props in online debates over worthiness. It's gross. So I hate to disagree with somebody who expressed their opinion so passionately and eloquently as all that, but I do. I think it's just all in good fun, honestly. From my perspective, it's like saying, like, wouldn't it be better if nobody watched the Oscars? Because that's what you're describing. Nobody would watch the show where nobody won in it. Nobody would watch the Academy Awards if there was no awards given, and if it was just a list of movies. I also think that at the end of the day, you're kind of just kicking the can down the road a little bit. You say there shouldn't be a competition, all the nominees should win, but that's just a competition then for who should be a nominee for an Oscar. That doesn't actually mean there's no competition, just that the thing you're watching isn't a competition. From my perspective, personally, I like watching competitive things. I enjoy people bickering and debating over which art they like better. And the fact that art opinions are subjective doesn't detract from that experience for me. So I'm pro the concept of the Oscars. I say fight for your pick. Hi, Big Joel. What is your favorite beverage? Doesn't have to be alcoholic. Well, my favorite alcoholic beverage, and I know it doesn't have to be, my favorite alcoholic beverage is a whiskey sour, just a delicious, refreshing little drink, easy to make, easy to drink. My favorite all-around drink, alcoholic or not, is probably the ice-cold Diet Coke / Pepsi, which is a wonderful experience. And I'm always asking myself, where are you getting your next pep? Where are you getting your next Pepsi? That's just me. Carolyn asks, what's your favorite sandwich? The banh mi, delicious sandwich. Niloy Bhattacharya asks, say you were in ancient Egyptian times, do you think it would be easier to craft a vacuum cleaner or a neon sign from scratch, and why? So my guess is that this question has an objectively correct answer, that one of those two things just would be harder to create than the other, right? I mean, to me, that seems obvious that one of them would have to be. My guess is that I would have an easier time creating a vacuum cleaner because it could be hand cranked. Because maybe I could create a system of tubes to create a little vacuum box and then put a tube in it. I think that I could sort of muck around trying to make a vacuum cleaner for a few years and maybe have something on the other side to show for it. Whereas for the neon lights, I couldn't tell you how they're made. They require some chemical, which I worry would only be gotten through a very complicated factory process. Like, how does one come into the possession of neon? So yes, I'm gonna go with the vacuum cleaner. Anyway, that's all the questions that I put into this doc. So thank you for giving me money on Patreon if you're one of these people who asked the questions, and I hope you enjoyed.